Awesome. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today, Turning AI into ROI. We're so excited to have you here today. If you've joined one of our sessions before, you know how much we love bringing real stories from the field, and today is no exception to that. So you're going to hear firsthand from two of our most innovative contractors in the industry, HK Solutions and Puris, who are both using SewerAI to modernize inspection workflows, standardize across offices and teams, and ultimately grow their business. So joining us today, we've got Mike Ingham, Chief Sales Officer at HK Solutions Group. We've got Rich Knapp, Vice President of Quality and Process Improvement at Puris. And alongside them, we've got SewerAI's own Seth Nickinson, Director of Product, Eric Sullivan, Director of Strategic Development and Certified NASSCO Trainer, and Samantha Pierce, Technical Account Manager, who will help guide today's session. Together, we'll explore how teams are going from inspection data to decisions to results faster than ever before. So before we dive in, we'll just cover a couple of quick housekeeping items. Ask questions at any time using the Q&A box. We'll leave time at the end of today's webinar to answer as many questions as we can. Chat with attendees. So say hello, share where you're joining from or what kind of work you do. This is really meant to be a community environment. We're learning from one another here. And then please answer our post-webinar survey. So that will pop up on your screen after you close today's webinar. Your feedback really helps us shape our future sessions. And then finally, today's session is being recorded. So don't worry, you'll get the full replay in your inbox afterward. All right, with that, let's go ahead and jump in. Eric, stage is all yours.
All right, before we get into the nuts and bolts, we wanted to start with a quick look back at WEFTEC 2025. That conference was a turning point for us. It's where we first laid out this AI plus cloud equals asset planning story that you all signed up to hear about today. We believe that inspection data shouldn't just sit in storage. It should drive rehab decision making. So let's roll this short highlight reel from WEFTEC, and then I'll walk you through how we've productionized what you're about to see. Cool. So that's the energy that we're bringing into today. Real utilities, engineering firms, and contractors actually using this stuff and having a pretty good time doing it, I must say. But it's not just an idea or a vision, it's in real life. So here's how we're going to spend our time together today. First, I'll give you a fast SewerAI overview, who we partner with, what we do, and how it all connects. Then we'll share our platform story, how Pioneer, AutoCode, and now Risk Rehab all work together to turn inspection data into decisions that actually move projects forward. And after that, Seth is going to do everyone's favorite part, a live walkthrough of the platform so you can see exactly how it works in action. Then we'll bring in Rich Knapp from Puris and Mike Ingham from HK Solutions in the customer roundtable segment. And they'll share how they're using these tools to streamline operations and win more business. And then finally, we'll wrap up with Q&A and next steps. Pretty simple, pretty fast-paced, and I promise it's going to be worth your time. Real quick on who we are, because context matters. For the past 5+ years, we've been working with utilities, sewer service contractors, and consulting engineers across the US and Canada. In other words, these are the people capturing CCTV data, the people who manage that data, and who submit the NASSCO deliverables, and the people who actually need to do something with those deliverables. Right now, we've got well over 200 million linear feet of pipe data sitting in the platform under management. That's main lines, laterals, and also more than 300,000 manholes. And this data isn't just parked there in storage. It's being used and collaborated on, and it feeds into insights for asset planning. We process over 40 million linear feet every year through our AI-assisted AutoCode toolset, currently on an average turnaround time of approximately 5 business days. And we take our customer enablement offerings seriously. What that looks like is sub-minute in-platform responsiveness, less than half an hour for resolution of tickets or technical issues. And our focus on customer response and issue resolution is important because people are actually running projects on this stuff, and they're not just archiving it. Pioneer is a living, breathing, always on platform that we're running. So the punchline is, this is not a lab environment. This is productionized. It's at scale across many cities, engineering firms, and services contractors that you all know. Now, why did we build it this way? Well, the traditional model everybody here has lived through is data on trucks, data on thumb drives, different contractors coding at different quality levels. And then someone several months later has to make a rehab plan off incomplete or inconsistent data. And that does not work when you're trying to defend a capital plan or apply for grant funding. So we built one place, Pioneer, for inspection data to land, to get processed into a standardized format, and to be shared by utilities, engineers, and contractors. So that's the single source of truth part. Once it's in there, you've got access to 2 engines, the first being AutoCode, and the second being Risk and Rehab. Our customers, in a matter of days, can go from initial data collection and upload to detailed capital improvement plans every time. But it all starts with getting the video and the inspection data into the cloud. With Pioneer, everything lands in one secure cloud-based environment where it's instantly accessible to everyone who needs it: contractors, engineers, and utility staff, without the bottlenecks. The one thing that sets us apart, SewerAI is the only sewer software platform in North America with a formal SOC 2 Type 2 attestation of compliance. That's an independent audit of our security, availability, and data integrity controls, uptime of the site, the same standard really that major financial institutions are using, okay? And for anyone who wants to see the details behind that, Michaela, if you don't mind sharing our trust site link in the webinar chat, you can see for yourself. So when you're managing critical infrastructure data, right? CCTV data, GIS layers, rehab plans, you're not just getting convenience, you're getting verified trust and compliance that no other vendor in this space has. Okay, AutoCode. This is the part that most folks first hear about us for, right? AutoCode is our AI-assisted process for condition assessment, which follows NASSCO guidelines. We run computer vision on the video to find the defects automatically. Then NASSCO certified reviewers QC it and they finish it. So you get both speed and compliance with industry guidelines. Why do utilities and contractors like it? Well, because the field crew doesn't have to stop the camera crawler every few feet to manually type in codes while they're set up with traffic control on the street, while they're dewatering the pipe using a vac truck that's burning money and using up water. They can film the pipe, upload, and then let our technologies do the heavy lifting. And on the engineering and asset planning side, it means that you're not re-watching all these videos just to double check if it's a crack versus a fracture and all the other codes. Instead, you get more consistent data, I should say, than what you've ever had, and you get your valuable time back. So once that data is in the platform and AutoCode has completed the condition assessment, this is where it starts to get fun. The Risk and Rehab Recommendations engine takes the CCTV, NASSCO data, and also the GIS layer of the sewer and stormwater system, as well as other geospatial data that we've pulled together, and a set of likelihood of failure and consequence of failure factors, which we call the risk recipe, and it scores the whole system. Then it runs through either a series of decision trees or an AI large language model powered recommendation based around things like, should this pipe be lined? Should it be point repaired or open cut? Should it be cleaned or maybe only cleaned very carefully? Or does it need cutting or milling? Or if it requires a civil engineer to take it further in review, right, due to nuances, as well as other recommendations on where and when you should inspect next. The other big thing, and this came right from our customers, is that you can bring your own logic. If you are an engineering firm or a large utility that already has its own risk recipe, you can use that model right in this platform. And something new that we're especially proud of is the Pioneer Structural Benchmark, because we've processed more than 500,000 NASSCO surveys. So every time a new inspection comes in, it's automatically compared against the broader data set. That means the platform isn't just analyzing your city. It's drawing on crowdsourced insights from across North America to show how your assets stack up against similar pipes elsewhere. And rather than just talking about it, we're going to show it to you. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Seth. He's going to jump into the live risk and rehab environment and walk through the map view, the dashboard view, and how these decision tree outputs and AI recommendations actually render.
Thank you so much, Eric. Always a pleasure to be here with you, those of you I've met and those of you I haven't had a chance to work with over the last half dozen years. We're very excited about this product. WefTech was one of the first times we shared it publicly, and glad to be able to bring that to more of you today. It's really the next evolution of our platform. As Eric just spoke to, for years we've been encouraging our clients, and you'll hear from HK and Puris, to invest in their team and invest in the communities they work in by helping people be more productive and ensure they get higher quality, high integrity data. So that investment has been made in the people, in the productivity, and now with this risk and rehab product, we're really helping convert that investment into better management of the sewer system and better advice and consultation for those of you who provide services to utilities. I'm going to jump right into how it works. Eric just gave you some of the highlights, but we're going to show it live on this webinar. Give me one moment just to share my screen and make sure that loads. Hopefully it's clear. It looks to me like it's sharing. So this is really the money shot. This is what you would see when you first load up Pioneer's Risk and Rehab. If you have GIS layer loaded for either your own utility or for a client. And what you're seeing here is a display, a risk colored display of each of the mainline pipes in this system based on what we call total risk, which is a combination of likelihood and consequence of failure. You see the legend here in the bottom part of my screen. I won't go into all the functionality today, but you've got all the things you would expect on a map-based tool. You can change the view to have a satellite view. See, didn't switch for me there. Apologies. You can search by address if you want to zoom into a certain place on the map. You have a variety of zoom tools to get in and out of the data. Right now, everything we're looking at is inspected lines. So this is assets that have had a CCTV inspection conducted, and the data is being stored in Pioneer, and it is showing the most recent inspection for any given asset. The system actually works on uninspected assets as well, and I'll get a little bit more into that. But it works not only to look at repairs and rehab, but also assets you might be trying to prioritize for cleaning or for new CCTV inspection. Obviously, we don't have NASSCO CCTV LOF data, likelihood of failure data, but you still have risk based on where the asset is, what's nearby, what we know about its GIS characteristics. And so we can score and give priority to even assets that don't have a recent inspection so you can figure out where to go work next. Maybe in this part of town, there's some higher risk assets. So that's a drainage basin or a neighborhood that makes sense to do new work in. I'm going to switch back to the stuff that does have recent NASSCO inspections. I will emphasize that you can filter this map and find only specific stuff you want. So let's say I only want things that we actually have a CCTV on from the last 2 years because I've been running this newer CCTV program. I can change that. Let's say within that, I only want the vitrified clay pipe. This has always been one of the advantages of our Pioneer platform is this live data feed. So now I'm looking at only that recently inspected VCP pipe. You can see over here all the kinds of filters we make available to you, and I'll get into more of them as we go along. You can look at only large diameter pipe, for instance, or small diameter pipe. I'll also point out that currently the map is displaying these colors, these stoplight colors, based on total risk. But you can actually use the map to look at any number of things. You can look at only the most recent NASSCO LOF and color the pipes by that. You could look at only consequence. Hey, which pipes are going to have the biggest issues if something happens over here near this beach? You could even look at the map by the age of the pipes only. These are all very old pipes in this part of town. So we give you that flexibility, again, using this cloud-based data feed and all the compute power we have to do these kinds of things that might have in the past taken complicated geoprocessing and make them really, really simple. I'm just going to clear out those filters and kind of reset our view for the moment. So let's say of these recent inspections, I see, oh, there's some stuff over here that's of interest to me, right? I see that these colors are deeper. There must be going something on in this part of town. I can click on one of these lines, and it's going to give me in this box a brief overview of that asset. I have some of the risk scores, the last inspection date, which was earlier this year, some recommended actions, and I'll get into those more in a moment. What I might need to do about this pipe, it's a candidate for some lining, as long as we clean it up with a little prep beforehand. And I can do two things from here. One is I can open the most recent inspection. This is a view that most of you who are Pioneer customers, and even you, some of you who have been in an exploration process with us are used to, but I can load up the video and the snapshots and the conditions, and I can get, and I'm moving these tiles around just to make this an easy view for all of us. This screen is very flexible, allows me to lay it out how I want, and I'm on a big monitor over here. Give me one sec. Excuse me. Having trouble dragging with my mouse at the moment. There we go. So I've got the video with all the conditions on this pipe. I can see the roots, the taps. There's a fracture here at 67 feet. This is sort of the classic Pioneer set of tools that allow us to go explore all this data and see exactly what's going on. I can play through the video. This is our standard inspection management platform. I can also click this View More Information button. What this is going to do is give us an in-depth view of this single asset. We call this the asset details page. So if I give this a moment to load, it's going to give me more information about the asset and all the ratings we've calculated on it. So you see here the total risk, the likelihood, the consequence, this structural benchmark that Eric mentioned. What this does is it benchmarks this pipe against all other pipes that SewerAI knows about of similar diameter and material and characteristics. So if we look at this as a 12-inch VCP pipe, this as a 4 out of 5 when compared against all the other 12-inch VCP pipes we've ever run autocode on. You also get a thumbnail of where it's located. It highlights the most recent observations that are critical to this rating, so you don't even have to go watch the video. Hey, there's a bunch of fracture multiple here. That's what's kind of causing this high rating. You get calculations we've done out of the box about this is presumably what's driving the consequence here, is that this pipe is only 60 feet from a water body, looks about right, and actually 190 feet from a school. So if there was a failure on this pipe, it obviously has significant impact. You get a side-by-side of the GIS data and the most recent inspection data, and you get an inspection and maintenance history. For this pipe, I happen to only have one CCTV inspection, but this is where if you are storing an ongoing televising program with Pioneer, or when you start working with us, you've brought in historical data, you would get the full litany of the inspections we have for this pipe. And you could open up any of those videos and also very quickly compare the ratings because you see them here. So they would be stacked and you could have a general sense of how the pipe is progressing. So that is the asset details page that's available from the map. I want to spend a few minutes now on how we calculate this risk, and then we'll get into some of the recommendations and how you begin to take action to rehab, repair, clean, replace these pipes. So I mentioned that this is a total risk calculation. We call your risk formula your risk recipe. Oh, that's what my Zoom is a little strange. Excuse me. I'm just going to reload the page. Something's strange in my browser Zoom there. A little bit off the screen. Give me a moment, folks. Apologize. Browser behavior, not application behavior. There we go. So our risk recipe, as I mentioned, is a combination of consequence and likelihood of failure. And if you look in the center of my right-hand tab here, you can see all of the factors that are going into the likelihood of failure calculation. It's the most recent NASSCO LOF if we have it. It's that structural benchmark I mentioned. It's also a variety of characteristics about the pipe, age, diameter, depth. You have full control over how these things are considered in the calculation. So if I open up this age of asset panel, you see that our default recipe or formula considers a pipe over 100 years old to be a 5 on that criteria or that dimension. Pipe that's 75 years is a 4. But I can switch those easily with this slider or by typing into these boxes and change the level at which a pipe is considered higher risk on age. I can do that actually for any of the factors. And I can also change the weighting among the factors. So I can decide what I want to value higher or lower. I can even set a factor to 0. If I'm not that interested, if I don't really consider variation in my material to be a risk factor, I can set that to 0. Similar on the consequence side. These are things we are shipping out of the box to every customer who uses this. Nearness to critical facilities and waterways, the size of the pipe, the land use overlap with various road types and railways, and other land use also like airports, nearness to government centers. Again, you can change all of these. They come pre-filled in, but you can modify any of these. Let's say I decide that for some reason railways are not that risky. I can put that as a 3. And I can save this recipe, save as new recipe, call it Seth on webinar, and save this. And then it will be available to everyone else in my organization, and it will apply that recipe to what I'm viewing right now. It's that easy to save and store different risk calculations. You might have a client who's more interested in consequence of things near streams versus a client or your own utility is currently focused on certain kinds of old clay pipe. You can change the recipe, save that, and easily repeat those calculations year after year, month after month, without wondering how you derived it. The other thing that goes into the recipe is whether you want the rehab recommendations to be driven by a decision tree or be driven by our AI, as Eric mentioned. So I'm going to jump over to a table view of these assets to give a better sense of what that looks like. I'm going to just narrow this down, let's say, to things that are good CIPP lining candidates that have a recent inspection. So we have a smaller list. And I hope you're getting a sense of how easy it is to do this stuff to find exactly what you want in the system. So I'm going to hop over to the table with that view assets on a table view. Again, I apologize that my browser is there. That seems a little better, weirdly sized at the moment. So now of the total 2,300 assets in the system, there's 47 that met that criteria of good lining candidates recently inspected. This table view shows you all the calculations we've run on them. You can scroll left to right and see all the evaluations that happened about how far it is from water, what kind of road it's under. This data is always available to you to pull out. Pioneer, SewerAI, we've always believed that you own your own data. So you can simply click download to CSV or download to GeoJSON, which pulls out a geodatabase to get this data easily. We also have the ability to sort this by anything. So again, if you wanted to look primarily at things, let's say among this set that are older, I can click the age button and do a downward sort by age. Then I can, as we said, watch these videos, review these, see what I might want to do about it. In fact, we have these quick queries at the top. These are very common things we've heard from customers. Hey, I want to find stuff that might need to be excavated and replaced. I might want I'm building a point repair project. I'm doing the lining candidates, which is what we're doing now. These quick queries will actually rapidly filter the system to give you potential lines to look at. So how do you decide what you want to do, whether it's for your own utility or recommend someone? This is where the recommendations come in. So if I click on one of these recommendations, let's say this asset that needs lining, but potentially some milling and cutting beforehand. Again, I'm in decision tree mode right now. So what this is going to do, it's going to surface decision logic that we are shipping for you out of the box. I really wish I could resize this browser better, guys. There we go. So we've applied a series of decision trees to look at all the characteristics of that line and the recent inspections and recommend action. Most of the decision trees, like those around roots and sags and obstructions, didn't surface anything for this line. But our structural tree and a lining candidate tree we have both surfaced that this is likely a pipe that could be lined. It also looks like we have some intruding taps or roots that are going to need milling and cutting beforehand. So if I go back to this lining candidate tree, it spells out the yes/no logic. I can also view this in a more classic flow chart. Eric mentioned earlier that we have the ability to import and create custom trees for you. So if your organization already has custom decision logic you may have built in the past, we can bring that in and either overwrite or lay it on top of these decision trees we have now. The other option we have is to use our AI LLM to make recommendations. So I switched recipes to a recipe that uses the LLM, and now I can still look at these lining candidates, but it's going to give me a slightly different information display. Excuse me. Let me switch back to the AI again. So in this case, you're going to get what some of you have begun to use large language models, and we're running several models that are validating each other here. It's going to give me a more detailed description of what's going on with this pipe. So it's describing the holes, void visible it sees. It's going to give me photographs, and it's going to begin to prioritize those actions. Gives me evidence of why I might need to take action on this pipe. Gives me the recommendations that I might want to do a point repair, the excavation, and then go ahead and line this pipe. And it's going to give me some engineering considerations, including a potential cost range. One of the advantages of the LLM is that large language model, that means, is that you can go ahead and chat with it. So you can ask it questions like, do I definitely need to repair this before lining? You could even ask it for engineering firms in your area that might do this kind of work. You can ask it to compare it to other pipes in your system. It has all that power of a large language model. So you have a choice of whether you want to use that more deterministic decision logic or a large language model to help you make your rehab decisions. Ultimately, I'm going to wrap up in a few moments. We know that you need to make decisions about what to address. And so that's where we have a piece of functionality already in place and another one, several that we're working on right now that we're very excited about in terms of what's coming next in this product. So one is you can go ahead after you review these assets and tag them. And you see some of the tags here. I've already tagged these first two as line. You can apply tags that your entire organization will see and call this lining job 2026 and set tags on those assets that will allow you to quickly build a project. We're also in the midst of development right now on an AI engineering assistant that will actually take these assets and help you begin to build a project out of them. This is in beta, but it will take all the assets that are currently filtered or the ones that you've selected, and it starts to build a preliminary engineering report that you can use to give to someone internally or your client to look at those assets, cost them out. We know that really the next step is building those projects that you can take action on. So you can see here, this is a different large language model that's doing summary work. It's beginning to roll up this group of assets I have. Tell me about the risk. Tell me about their pipe sizes. I want a summary report for 10 small diameter pipes. So this is coming next. It'll be released shortly into the public sphere, but we're helping you begin to build those risk and rehab projects that you can then execute on, again, either from the work side or the utility side. The other thing that we've really heard people want is the ability to stamp this system with their final decision. So I've picked these pipes and I'm going to definitely line them. So we're working on a system right now to allow you to make an engineer's recommendation and log it in the system and have the system know exactly what you're going to do about those pipes. The final thing we're going to be working on based on customer demand that I will mention is risk for manholes, risk for MACP. This has been requested by lots of people. And so it's not a far leap for us to take all this. We do a lot of MACP, autocode, a lot of level 2 processing. We're going to be bringing that into the risk product and making that available here in the next few months. We continue to evolve as we get feedback from our utility, our contractor, and our engineering customers. And mostly, we want to make sure that we convert all that high-quality inspection data into actionable insights. That's what I've got. This was a quick run through a very complicated product, but I hope you've learned a lot. And after we hear from our amazing partners, I'm very open to taking questions.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Seth. Now that we've all seen the platform and what risk and rehab recommendations can do, now we're going to go ahead and shift gears and hear from the people actually using this technology in real life. We're joined today by two longtime SewerAI partners who've been instrumental in shaping how these tools are being applied in real life on real projects. So first up is Mike Ingham, Chief Sales Officer at HK Solutions Group, a national trenchless contractor. It's fully integrated the SewerAI platform across their operations, from cleaning and inspection to NASSCO assessments and rehab planning. How's it going, Mike?
Very good, Eric. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. Let's go ahead and start from the beginning. What challenges were you folks looking to solve when you first partnered with SewerAI?
So early on, one of the biggest issues we had was just getting data to our customers effectively and quickly. We would go out and televise a core section of town, and it could take us 30, 60, greater than 90 days sometimes just to get the data to them. And if you've identified something like an offset pipe coming to them 90 days later, it was not ideal for us to transfer that sense of urgency back to them when we waited 3 months to actually get it to them. So the ability for us to get that data quickly was something that was very important to us. Get the data quickly and then get it to our customers quickly. And anybody that has customers that's on this call, we got paid quicker too. And right, if we don't have the data in the final product, final deliverable to the customer, we're out months and months and months of revenue. So that was a huge issue for us. The other issue for us, Eric, was the quality of the data. We had a single person that was auto coding the data or coding the data for us, and we didn't know how good each of our operators were operating the camera vans because we didn't have a comparison of what they were identifying, and we liked the idea of taking the subjectivity out of it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Got it. So HK Solutions Group, you folks have always been known for pushing the envelope in trenchless technology, right? Whether it's your UV cured in place pipe or your unique monoform and monoform plus manhole rehab technologies, but also you were the first or one of the first contractors in the world to adopt AI as part of your CCTV offering, right? What was that experience like, internally, but also, externally, right? Internally for your crews, externally for your customers. What was that like?
Sure. I'll start with the timing. You contacted me in March of 2020 for the very first time, and which was unique, I guess, to say the least. When my experience with SewerAI at then, when we first met, I'll be honest, I was having a very difficult time figuring out how we were going to utilize this product or how we could fully utilize the product. When we first adopted it, we did a trial run with you, a pilot project. We brought one of our engineering partners in, and we just basically compared the quality of the data, right? We compared what we identified, what our engineering partner identified, and what AI identified in terms of defects in the pipe, and that for us was one of the most defining moments because we saw the absolute increase in accuracy. And then as we started rolling this out, we had a little bit of resistance initially, right? From people who had been doing it for a very long time. Operators, some of our great employees have been with us for 20 years. They didn't want us to think, or them to think that they were getting replaced, right?
Yeah.
It was not the case at all. We were making the job better.
Yeah.
So, and then the other part of that internally was convincing our ownership group and the key decision makers in our company, how does this make sense for us? Once we crossed those hurdles, then we were able to focus on our customers and how we rolled this out to our customers. And I'm happy to say, and anybody that's a user of this platform knows that it's it's an incredibly impressive platform, and it gave us a serious separation between our competitors. We'd like to keep it that way. You guys are too good at selling it though, so you're unfortunately. But anyway, so once we got everyone to adopt the program for us or with us, we really started to see the success from that.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, so you've spoken to this just now, but want to just kind of dig a little deeper around, like, what did it take to build confidence around using AI to do the condition assessment? How did your team adapt to the change? Also, like, kind of spoke to a second ago, what was it like having your customers also, develop that confidence too?
Sure. Once our team members were able to actually see how the data was coded and the accuracy of that coding, it really they adopted the technology pretty quickly. As we were rolling out to our municipalities and engineering partners that we work with, there was some skepticism at first. But once they were able to see the data and see the accuracy of that data, and how fast we can get that data, so the quality, the timeliness, and the ability for them to understand exactly what they're looking at in terms of what the defects look like in their system.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Kind of pull on that thread a little bit further. Like, what have been some of the challenges and lessons learned as you folks ended up switching your fleet over to SewerAI across all your different offices?
Well, I mean, it's two-part, Eric. One is the development of Pioneer and as a platform. I haven't even touched on that yet. I mean, the ability for us to have a single place to store all of our data is incredibly important to us. It's incredibly important to our customers. The other part within Pioneer and in recent adaptations that we've made is the transparency of the work that we're doing, right? For our municipalities and our customers to be able to see what we're doing in their town on a daily basis is really, really important to us. And it's really, really important to them. So once we identified those areas, we got full acceptance. Then it was up to us to increase our productivity, right? And one of the, going back to our employees that are our 20-year employees, they've been doing something the exact same way for 20 years. Now we're telling them, go ahead and go 30 foot per minute down the line. It's okay. So it was good for them once they, were able to relearn that and get comfortable with that. It was also good for new employees, right? Because the time it took us to get a new employee into a camera van was shortened dramatically by the fact, we can get them in there within, a few weeks of onboarding, which is really important to us.
Yeah, really glad you said that. That's super important part of what's affecting our industry overall. So, yeah. Okay, last question is going to be a two-part question here, right? So, the big thrust of today is risk and rehab recommendations and getting that out there, et cetera. You folks have been an early adopter of that as well, right? So, how has the risk and the rehab recommendation engine affected, your find it, fix it type of projects? And what do you think it makes available in your company's strategy and your go-to-market? And like relatedly, the second part would be, overall, how do you see your use of the AI engine or our tools helping and evolving you across your long-term goals? Yeah.
Sure. So the way we've utilized, I'll take a step back. We have a lot of large municipalities we do work for, but really our core customer base from a municipality standpoint are like 25,000 population and less. All right. So, we're based out of Des Moines, Iowa, and we have offices in South Dakota and down in Kansas City and Minnesota. So we've got there's a lot of small towns in this area, and they all have the exact same issues. So we partner with them. We'll do 20% of their town per year, but now with this added the risk and rehab, to sit down with them and say, listen, we understand you have a limited budget, and we understand that you're not going to be able to fix all of this, but let's talk about the ones that we need to. And Seth's demonstration with the graphical, the mapping image, and to show them these are the 5 pipes that you really need to worry about this year, and we can start working with you over the next 5 years. We'll go out and inspect. We'll also develop a plan for you to take care of the stuff that you absolutely need to. And then as you get further on and they're able to obtain grants or revolving loan funds, then we can help them, or at least we'll have the data going out to an engineering firm. Hey, here's the data that we have now. Help us build this project. So we plan to use that. We use it now. We plan to use it as a key component of our sales, A, presentation, and B, how we service the customer. And moving forward, the best thing I'll say about your organization is early on, we would meet about every 3 weeks, and you would tell me, you and Billy sometimes were on there, and you'd say, here's what we have now, but here's what we're doing next. And Seth just did that. And what I was fascinated about was that here's what's happening next always happened. And So, just the stuff that Seth was going through there, that's some stuff that I was not aware of. I've scribbled notes down going, well, okay, now this is how we can use this moving forward, and here's how we can benefit our customers.
Yeah.
So it's exciting what's going into the organization.
Thank you. Yeah, no, thank you so much for all of that, Mike. Yeah, now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to hand it over to Samantha Pierce, our technical account manager here at SewerAI. And we've also got Rich Knapp, Vice President of Quality and Process Improvement at Puris, one of North America's leading CIPP and renewal contractors. Puris has been using Pioneer to modernize their inspection workflows and streamline collaboration across all their teams. So Samantha, go ahead and take it away. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Eric. Hey, Rich.
Sure. Hey, good afternoon.
It's awesome to speak with you again. We've been working super close together, so it's really cool to jump on this webinar together. But so let's just jump right in. I wanted to just kind of start with the big picture. What kind of challenges were you really looking to solve when Puris first started partnering with us?
Yes, thanks for that, Samantha. So we're located across the US and Canada. And with that scope of operation, we truly needed to have a standard process for storage and submission of videos. Essentially, it was critical that anyone in the company-wide would be able to access the videos as needed. And as Mike just mentioned, without delay. Delays really cause major issues. SewerAI provided that tool for us.
That's awesome to hear. I always love that. I know that you guys have been very busy. You've brought together 5 different companies underneath the Puris name. It's no easy feat. What kind of operational challenges kind of came with that, and how did that shape your decision to modernize your inspection workflows?
Yeah, that's actually a great question there. So Puris is actually an acronym for Premier Underground Renewal Infrastructure Solutions. So initially, as you mentioned, Puris was an integration of 5 different companies, and that took place in 2022 in the 4th quarter. And we have multiple companies, from manufacturing of liners to CIPP lining of both mainline and laterals, all the way to pipe bursting. So we now have 8 companies in our portfolio. And with different types of businesses comes variation in video storage and video submissions. So we needed a standard process.
8. I need to update my notes. That's fantastic, Rich. Can you paint us a picture of kind of what things were like before integrating Pioneer, and especially when it came to managing inspection data, handling submittals and getting deliverables accepted by your clients? Sort of that workflow for me.
And I'm sure Mike can relate, because quite frankly, prior to SewerAI, it was a mess. We had everything from videos on people's hard drives, thumb drives, SharePoints, both internal SharePoints and external SharePoints, full servers and hard drives. In addition, as part of that, we had different customers requiring different methods of submissions and approvals. So we needed truly to have a standard process to control and house our data, as well as how we submitted.
Yeah, housing data. I know all of us have that little box of thumb drives sitting on our desk or behind our desk on a bookshelf somewhere. We all love to get rid of that. I know we're working hard to make sure people can do away with those. And with that, obviously, comes dealing with video storage. So I know that dealing with that spread across different regions and systems, how did that impact your productivity and visibility before everything was kind of centralized?
So it was a nightmare taking place in the day, particularly when you think about the scope of our business being across essentially North America minus Mexico. We have experts spread out across the nation. So things are going to happen. We're going to have defects. We're going to have things where people need to review items. And with that, we need the videos, and having those spread out in all the previous methods that I mentioned before in the last question you had. This caused delays that could take hours or even days, as Mike alluded to. And, sometimes even longer than that, just to get the data out of the trucks that were outside in the field.
Yeah. Gosh. Yeah. I don't miss those delays from from my days working for contractors, but I'm glad that we're helping. I know that today you guys manage roughly about 425 to about 550 inspection videos every week. How has Pioneer helped change the way that your team manages all those inspection videos for large organizations across all these different regions?
Yeah, we're averaging approximately 500 videos a week, which includes everything from pre-inspection, cleaning, pre and post videos. And so what we have is all of our camera operators are either PACP or MACP certified, but due to this massive volume, we have dedicated video review teams that are interacting with those teams in the field, as well as interacting with the project management teams in support of all the reviews. And they also, if issues arise, they can create and follow up with corrective actions, as well as supporting the video packaging to the customers.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know I meet with them a couple times a month and work through with those review teams specifically. So it's been really great working with them as well as you personally. But so now let's switch gears a little bit and talk about digital submittals. How has that tool changed your operations, particularly when it comes to like speed, accuracy, and collaboration among your clients or with your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of digital submittals, sorry, they can vary based upon customer requirements. We have some customers that want the videos handed on a thumb drive. We want some of them want them put on a specific SharePoint or even sent via email. So with all those types of submissions, we lose traceability. So with that, I actually took one of Henry Ford's famous phrases. You can have any color car you want as long as it's black. And I modified it so you can submit videos in any method as long as it's first done in SewerAI. And by the way, Samantha, that's a copyrighted phrase, so we'll discuss submissions if you ever want to use it. Getting back
I
to
love it.
if a customer contract, and again, there are customer contractual requirements that say, hey, I want it on a thumb drive, you're going to submit it on a thumb drive. And they absolutely will get it on a thumb drive after the email and digital submittal is completed in SewerAI. And that gives us complete and total traceability.
I love it. I love it. Switching your entire fleet over was not a small feat. I know that. So what were some of the challenges and lessons that you learned as you rolled SewerAI out across multiple offices?
Yeah,
Yeah.
change is hard on anyone, right? And Mike alluded to that as well. And anytime a new system such as an ERP or SewerAI in this case is implemented, there's massive challenges and stresses that go along with it. It's human nature. People ask the questions why, and there's always a worry on learning a new system. The awesome thing about the rollout that we had was the instant support that we had and continue to have with you guys. People can instantly chat with someone live in SewerAI. And what differentiated SewerAI from previous system implementations that I've done in the past were not only the questions were addressed instantly, but that data was taken and training sessions were provided by Tara that took that question and answered it across the entire group. So it truly was a valuable tool, and you guys have supported us all along the way.
Very cool. Speaking of support, you've worked really closely with our enablement team to tailor training resources and jump through IT hurdles for all of your teams. What's that experience been like, and how has it helped with your adoption?
Well, as they say, patience is a virtue, right? And my lack thereof is probably something that you've experienced personally.
No.
Yeah, you and the team have actually truly been incredible in addressing issues as they arise. When a customer wants something, it was needed last week. And as again, going back to something Mike said, we don't get paid if we don't submit, right? And we do whatever we can to get them what is needed. And that's truly one of the reasons I'm happy to support this session, is SewerAI has truly developed a partnership with us as your team jumps through hoops to support in the manner that we do for our customers. And I need to say thank you, Samantha, to you and the team for helping our partnership and exceeding our customers' needs. So thank you.
Always happy to help, Rich. You know that. When you think about the future of asset management, what does success look like for you, and how are tools like SewerAI going to help you get there?
AI is everywhere. An integration of AI is the absolute future for every organization. To what extent is based upon that specific organization. So, in just the 2.5 years since we signed on with SewerAI, the technology has evolved massively, and as demonstrated from what Seth just presented, and I was taking notes that whole time. As our expertise is in the infrastructure rehabilitation itself, we need SewerAI as our partner to help us get there, because you're the optimal partner to apply these AI tools.
All right, that's really awesome. Thank you so much, Rich. I really appreciate this. Always love speaking with you. On that
Thanks.
note, I'm going to pass it back off to Eric, and we'll start moving on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Rich. That was awesome. We're going to go ahead and jump right to the questions, actually. So give me a chance here to get...
Next one's with a company called SewerAI Corporation.
Oops, sorry, here we go. Go ahead and drop your questions in the Zoom Q&A panel. We'll triage. We've had some questions asked already. We've still got Mr. Seth here for anything technical, etc. So yeah, maybe Michaela, anything popping up right now that we can take?
Yeah, we've had a number of great questions coming up in the chat. I think most of them our team has gotten to already. There's actually a question for Rich that is in here. So Rich, the question is, how did your customers react to changing the way project data was delivered, specifically for smaller construction companies?
No, that's a great question. As I've mentioned, there are some people who I will always get it on a thumb drive. You're always going to give it to me on a thumb drive. Why are you sending me these emails? I don't want them, right? And again, I understand it. And the simple explanation is, hey, please let us show you how this works. And sometimes that works, and sometimes you have customers who still are insistent upon taking the thumb drive, right? Why are you still sending me these emails? And the question goes back to, well, sir or madam, the reason why is we're an ISO quality certified system, and this is our traceability that shows that you have received it. We will continue to meet the contractual requirements and your preferences, but we absolutely need to do this for our own traceability and systems. And that works, again, that's, people accept that because it's an understandable answer.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Rich. I think most of the other questions, we've got one more. So we'll have time for one more question, and then we'll wrap things up here. But just know that we'll take all of the questions that have come up in the chat or the Q&A, and we will provide the question and the answer in the follow-up email, just because we're running close on time here. But we'll have one more. So from Mike, we have a question. Please clarify the meaning of a pipe benchmark score. I think that one might be for Seth.
Sure. So currently that's a structural benchmark. So it's looking at structural issues in the pipes. And again, it takes the material and the diameter. So 6-inch plastic, 8-inch clay, and it's basically looking against all the other assets we've assessed in SewerAI's system that we've done condition assessment on, and saying where 50th percent is the median, the middle. Is this pipe better or worse? It's like a curve in school, right? Is this pipe better or worse than what we would expect for a 50-year-old VCP 8-inch pipe? And it gives you a sense, all pipes have issues, but are we tracking better or worse than we would expect for this kind of pipe?
Awesome. Thank you, Seth. Okay, we are right at time, so we'll go ahead and go to our final slide. Eric, I'll let you explain this one.
Yeah, last thing before we let you go, we want to make this easy to try, right? If you're a utility and you're a current Pioneer customer, Risk and Rehab can be turned on for you at no additional cost. Just tell us you want it. If you're new to Pioneer and you're not yet a customer, and you're a utility, right? If you sign up before the end of this year, before the end of 2025, you will also get Risk and Rehab free for the first year. And for contractors and engineering firms, when you auto code inspections with us, when you use our auto code tools, the Risk and Rehab scoring rides alongside and is included with the cost of auto code. Of course, assuming that there's a GIS layer that we have supporting that collection system as well. So there's no mystery module though, or any mystery pricing here, right? The next step we think is simple, right? If you're a current customer, just say to us, turn it on. And if you're not yet a customer, but want to keep the conversation alive, just tell us. We want a deeper project specific walkthrough and we'll set that up for you. Okay. We're going to break now and just want to say thank you for spending time here with us. We know that you're all busy people who are up to a lot. So we really do appreciate your attention. We appreciate the questions today. We definitely want to extend a huge thank you to both Mike Ingham from HK Solutions Group and to Rich Knapp from Puris Corp for everything that they did to be able to contribute to this as well. So have a wonderful rest of your day, folks. Bye-bye for now.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Bye.